July meeting of the Henry County School Board of Order at this time. Will you check our attendance today, please?
Okay. Mr. Alter?
Here.
Dr. Duvall?
Here.
Ms. Flanagan?
Here.
Ms. Maddox?
Here.
Mr. Milner?
Here.
Dr. Stanbaugh?
Here.
And Mr. Zayer?
Here.
Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve this morning's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that today's agenda be approved. Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. Also take this time to welcome any visitors, members of the staff, press, and any other people that might be with us this morning. We appreciate taking the time to be here for this meeting of the Henry County School Board. I'd like to ask Mr. Lyle if he will lead us in our invitation. Following that, Mr. Zayer will lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, we gather today to this meeting and the business of our community, and we ask first, we want to give thanks for the many blessings we've received, the blessings of hardworking teachers and dedicated students that make our schools so successful. And we want to ask for continued blessings and blessings upon this meeting. We know that the hand of man can't do anything without divine guidance, and we ask that you be with us today, guide our decisions, guide our discussion, help us to build your kingdom here on this earth. And we ask for all these blessings in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no speakers signed up for this morning's session, so we move on to item 3, awards and recognition. Dr. Cotton, will you have a new person introduce to us this morning?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to welcome Mrs. Janice Black home to Henry County Public Schools and Magna Vista High School, where she was once a student. As a graduate of Fieldale Constable High School, Mrs. Black pursued her dream of becoming an educator at High Point University, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in History, a Master's degree in Educational Leadership. She went on to teach in North Carolina Public Schools for 7 years before becoming a curriculum facilitator and then an assistant principal. See in the back there. In her time as an assistant principal at Bartlett Yancey High School and Northeast Guilford High School, Mrs. Black worked collaboratively with teachers, families, and community members to ensure positive communication for the support of student achievement. She has worked closely with colleges and universities in the placement of interns and increased student involvement and community pride through the development of clubs and organizations. Mrs. Black's motto is committed to academic excellence and a holistic student. Her diverse experience, coupled with her passion for student success and her hometown, is certain to help the students in our community move toward their goals. I'm excited to work with her as we take Magna Vista High School to the next level and into the future, and I hope you'll join me in welcoming her to our school and our community, and I just asked Mrs. Black if she wanted to say just a couple words briefly, put her on the spot this morning, but let's welcome her to Henry County Public Schools.
Good morning. Just a few words. I wanted to, first of all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to fulfill my dream by returning home and continuing my commitment and a dedication that has been instilled in me from birth to give our best, promote our best for our students. I thank you, and I'm humbled, and I'm truly honored that you have decided and selected me to come back and to represent Magna Vista High School. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to working with our community. And in all things, I continue to give thanks. So thank you so much. Thank you. And again, I say thank you.
Black, on behalf of the board, we are happy to have you with us. We welcome you back to Henry County, and we welcome you back to Magna Vista. I don't know if you were, if I was around when you were there.
Yes, sir.
But I'm going to go back and check my records to see if you were ever in my office.
I brought up Dr. Ball.
Again, we do welcome you back and look forward to continued good things at Magna Vista High School.
And also, at one point in our lives, Mrs. Black and I attended George Washington Carver School, George Washington Carver School at the same time.
Not in the same capacity.
Yeah, we were there at the same time.
I know what you were and I know what she was.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, just wanted to remind everybody that we have a meet and greet for the community, 4 p.m. today at Lower Park Middle School, and a second meeting at 7 p.m., am I correct on that, at Magna Vista High School. Mrs. Black wanted to have an event at the middle school as well, so that she can get a chance to meet the parents there, as their children will be moving up to the high school in the next year or so. So, if any of you can attend that, we would certainly appreciate the support, and hopefully we'll have some good attendance today.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Cotton. We move on to section B under that part of our agenda. Mr. Copenhaver, I believe you have an announcement for an award for our assistant.
Yes, good morning. Henry County Public Schools 21st Century Mobile Learning received a Digital Content and Curriculum Achievement Award at the International Society for Technology and Education Conference in Atlanta on June the 30th. The second annual awards were presented by eRepublic's Center for Digital Education. And this is a quote that they said about the winners. This year's winners are leveraging the power of digital content and curriculum in creative ways that enhance and personalize learning. Henry County was one of 5 school systems honored in the K-12 small to medium district schools up to 12,000 students. So I have a plaque to present to you, Dr. Cotton and Dr. Duvall.
Thank you, Ms. Copenhaver. We are so proud of many great technology initiatives in the county, and certainly a great deal of credit that goes to Janet. We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
And what our school system is doing. I believe under item 4, information agenda, Dr. Cotton, there's no information today. That's the first. So we move then to section 5, the consent agenda. All of the items under the consent agenda are listed, have been listed in your material that you received. Several of those. If there's any specific one that a member of the board wishes to call out for discussion or questions, we'll take those at this time. If I hear no indication of individual discussion of any of those, we'll entertain.
I have a question, discussion, looking approval of tuition for governor's school. And I noticed that at one time, we were always filling all our slots, but there were some schools that were not. Are we taking advantage of that now? I think the school that was not is no longer with us, but.
Yes, sir. We've been filling all of our spots. In fact, we've been exceeding our spots at the governor's school. In the past, we've actually, Mr. Pace has given us a few extra slots for students. So we have filled every one of our slots, and we continue to do that.
Okay. And for those that have not had an opportunity to do so, I was talking to the secretary, Ms. East, and they are currently moving into the new college building. And for those that have not had a chance to view that, that's really something to look at.
When will they actually get into that building?
They started on Monday moving in there, so I don't know when they took it. And they're on the second floor. This is the second floor with the administrative staff, I imagine, already there, because the third floor administrative staff's on. It's
board's interested, and once they get settled and the year starts, we can certainly do that. I've been through, but they weren't finished when I took it through.
Any other items, comments, questions on the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. If there's no more discussion, those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. We will move on to section 6, the action agenda. The first item there will be a third-party administrator for 403D plan. Ms. Lawson?
Good morning. In 2009, the IRS revised regulations on public entities offering a 403B tax shelter savings program. These regulations included much tighter administration responsibilities, such as ensuring the district adhere to contribution limits, ensure loans, withdrawals, and rollovers within the guidelines. Previously, schools were just the middleman or pass-through agency for the employees' investment funds. Because of these regulations, the school system engaged a third-party administrator to manage the administrative functions. Our current contract ended June 30th, 2014. A committee reviewed the submissions of 5 vendors and selected Mid-America Administrative and Retirement Solutions as the third-party administrator for our plan. It's recommended that the bid be awarded to Mid-America Administrative and Retirement Solutions, Incorporated.
Any questions for Ms. Lawson on this? Is this the same group that's been doing it?
Yes, sir. It's the one, my first year here, this is the one we started doing this.
Notice it says no fiscal impact. Surely they make some money somewhere.
They do, they charge a fee, but actually our 403B vendors pay that fee on behalf of the employees.
Offer motion to approve the warrant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this request. Any additional discussion? If not, those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. Item B, approval of 2-year support for Warrior Tech.
Good morning, Dr. Vaught, members of the board. The Warrior Tech Academy at Magna Vista High School will begin its second year as a member of the New Tech Network. Being a member of the New Tech Network provides many benefits, one which includes the access to the ecosystem. And the ecosystem allows the parents and the students to log in and to monitor academic progress, but to also monitor how students are progressing with their skills such as communication, collaboration, and critical thinking. Also, the ecosystem allows our teachers to put their lessons on the system and have them reviewed and comments be made by peers across the nation. And meanwhile, our teachers can also view the lessons of their peers across the nation that are working with project-based learning. The ecosystem also allows the teachers to, as I said, vet those projects with their colleagues across the nation, which enables our students to have the best possible instruction there is. Additionally, professional development and coaching comes along with being a member of the New Tech Network. So it is my recommendation that the board approve the year 2 support of being a member of the New Tech Network to support Warrior Tech Academy. The cost of this is $115,800. $14,800 would come from the local budget, purchase services, and $1,100 would come from the Harvest Foundation grant.
Okay, other questions for Ms. Schrader regarding this? How many more years will we be able to get harvest money for this?
Well, I'm not sure of that, because I know that we write the Harvest grant for a 2-year period, and we're in the phases now of having it's been completed for this year, so we'll have to rewrite the Harvest grant next spring.
So if we don't get that grant, this ultimately will become part of our, if we continue.
Yes, sir.
Now, there is a limited number of years that we pay this support fee. I want to say that it's
4.
4 years total, and then there's a maintenance fee, and it's much less. forward, because at that point, we'll, actually, maybe even as early as this year, Magna Vista, the Warrior Tech program will become a demonstration site. And we've also learned that we can charge visitors who come to see our program, which we haven't done yet. That's something we can certainly do as well. So the first few years, there's the cost, and if you all remember, we built in a clause that if funding is a problem, then we always have the option to not pay the support fee. That means the ECHO and the professional development and all that goes away. But certainly this is a priority for us with the Harvest Grant, because we feel that other teachers are going to learn from this model, and we want to do this K-12 eventually. So that's why we feel strongly about using Harvest money to support this.
I feel like it's something new and very innovative, and I think it's something that we need to allow a number of years for it to operate, to make sure that we're getting out of it what we want to get out of it. And also, since I've noticed that there's quite a few other school systems coming in and wanting to see, I think that we're at a very important point. I think we need to continue on for the foreseeable future, see where we go.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the Warrior Tech program for the next fiscal year.
Second.
Any additional questions or concerns about this? Something maybe related to this ecosystem providing always opportunities around Jerusalem, I guess, of what's going on in the classes. There's no way that can be done throughout the school, I guess, at this time.
Not at this time, but, it's still our hope that as this program grows, that this can become something that spans much larger than the 200 kids that it will affect this year.
Okay. Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Carries. We have the next item also, Mr. Strayer, approval of the purchase math instruction material.
The IXL math program is a web-based program that allows students to independently practice math. The teachers can assign students specific skills where they need additional instruction. So students can log in and immediately go straight to the items they need to practice and get immediate feedback. And the feedback is not just a yes or no answer. The feedback they receive includes details of how the problem should have been worked step by step in the math problem. So even I can log in, and I've done this, log in, answer a question incorrectly, and then it would tell me step 1 should have been this part of addition, or step 2 should have been this part of multiplication, and it tells you and it writes out exactly how you made the mistake. This also allows our parents to be able, if they can log in at home, students, parents can also see and help their child with how to correctly work a problem and practice these skills that are so important. And definitely now, with our need to improve our math skills and involve our parents with that. So it is my recommendation that you approve the purchase of the IXL math program, and the cost of that is $21,000, and it would come from the Title VI grant, which is reimbursable.
I'll have a motion that we approve that.
Second.
Has a magic word in it.
Reimbursable. Voice changes along quickly.
Second, and where was this program when I needed it?
Yeah, it's really nice.
I think I'd like to have one now.
Is this we haven't done this in the past?
We have done this. It started off actually in one school, then all the other schools saw it, and it spread through the elementary schools. And then last year was the first year that middle and high schools started to use it. So this is a K-12 program, and it does go up through Algebra 2. And I know that the company itself is trying to add additional math.
Would the intent mainly be for home use?
That
in
is,
the classroom as well?
Actually what we're trying to work towards is small groups, as you see in the reading. When you go to schools and you see the small groups in reading that are working independently, that is something we're trying to work towards too. So as a teacher works with a small group in a setting on what the skills they're missing or need work on, then the students can be independently practicing on IXL. So definitely in school use, but as well as home use.
And Dr. Samuel, to add to that, even though we had this in place last year, this. They feel that just having the program is going to move their math scores along, but there's a lot more to this. It's all about diagnosing student weak areas, addressing those weak areas, following up, providing remediation, and the schools that have had more success did just that. And we had other schools that
Blanketly assigned.
that assigned certain assignments throughout and did not fully utilize the program. So our mission this year is to get all schools using it, using best practices so that they can see the gains, because you always have to watch that, because sometimes folks feel that purchasing a program is going to make the difference, but it's all of the things that come with that program that have to be implemented.
Other questions, comments? If not, those in favor of the stated motion, signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Move on to item D, is Copenhagen. I think we have several warnings with this, so remain keeping.
The first one is our annual lease payment for our computers, and these are the computers that are for teachers in middle and high school, and all of our carts. And we are recommending the school board approve the lease payment for this year at $306,117. Part of it will be taken out of technology equipment replacement and out of instruction equipment replacement.
Questions regarding this?
And this replacement cycle, it just seems to be going really well, and
It does. Because of the replacement cycle, we don't have a lot of breakage and a lot of things that we have to work on, so it really does.
Move to approve the annual lease payment for middle and high school laptops.
Moved and seconded that this request be approved as presented. Any additional questions, comments? If not, those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Okay, so,
The school division previously purchased iPads for 3rd and 4th grade back in 2010. We're going into our 5th year of the iPad initiative. Can you believe that? We're going into our 5th year. So we're trying to get a replacement cycle for our iPads, and we want to start with 3rd and 4th grade. So we're asking for a lease pay program with Apple Computer to replace these at a yearly payment of $137,067.89, and it will come out of our textbook account because the digital textbooks are loaded on these iPads.
Mr. Chairman, we haven't done this before, but we have received confirmation that we can use our textbook fund for devices like iPads, Chromebooks, and so forth. In our particular case, every single textbook for grades 3 and 4 are on the iPad. So obviously, if we don't have the iPad, we don't have textbooks. So we have to order the printed copies of those. We've talked about the benefits of a lease versus purchasing with one-time funds, and this is really just our attempt to wade into that water a little bit using the textbook fund. There are pros and cons because you have to pay the lease each year for a period of time. I believe this is a 4-year lease.
4-year lease, correct.
And obviously then in 4 years you would get new iPads, so it's a replacement cycle. It's built in. But we're going to try this with 3rd and 4th grade and see how that works. Some of us would like to do this across the board, but that would impact our local budget each year, and that's why we've done the one-time purchases. That's we've had money available. But we feel that this is a good opportunity to experiment a little bit with the lease option, and I wanted to make sure you were aware of that, because I know you've never seen us do this before with the iPads.
I make a motion that we approve the lease purchase of iPads for 3rd and 4th grade.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this request as it's been presented. Are there any questions?
And that makes us up to with iPads.
Well, will be grades 3 through 6. However, I've mentioned to you that we're working on seventh grade, which I've shared some of that background information. I don't want to share right now until we get a little further along with that, but my hope is that there'll be an opportunity to provide iPads for seventh grade, and then we'll have enough to cover eighth grade. So if all goes well, we will have 3 through 8 one-to-one, which will help us meet our goal of one-to-one 3 through 8 with the iPads. So we're excited about that.
We get a yearly stipend for textbook account every year.
We have a budget with a textbook account that we carry over and we use as needed. We did look into that because we've had some major textbook adoptions. We don't have major adoptions coming up in the near future. However, each year we choose an agenda, well, the consent agenda, we have to do some replacement for the consumable textbooks and so forth. But we feel if we're going to try this, it's a good time to do the leasing now.
Other questions? If not, those in favor of this motion as stated, signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Okay, Ms. Copeland.
Renewal of our fiber optic network. 2 years ago, NBC installed our fiber network to all schools and all of our sites in the division. There is a yearly maintenance connectivity fee, so I'm recommending that the school board renew the network connectivity fee with GCR Communications for a total of $19,941 per month. This is 2 reimbursables, E-rate reimbursable and also technology reimbursable at 100%.
No, motion.
As we appreciate the reimbursable part, that seems awfully expensive, $19,000.
And you know they gave us a discount when you connect things with switches and routers, and it is expensive. Hopefully, with the new thing that Virginia Department of Ed is working with a broadband company, we will see these prices coming down.
Is all of this cable work we see going on around the county, is that something that applies to?
I think that's the Comcast cable putting in new fiber.
Okay, those in favor of this motion as stated, signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Item G, I believe we're down to.
Approval to utilize the online auction company. Recently, the Henry County Board of Supervisors approved an online auction company for items that qualify for surplus sale. The school division would like to take advantage of this company for just our computer equipment and certain vehicles this year. Henry County Schools will have its own account set up on govdeals.com. In addition, all checks will be processed from GovDeals directly to the school system. So I'm recommending that the school board approve using govdeals.com online auction for the equipment as noted.
Mr. Chairman, we talked about this a couple months ago, but as we got ready to move forward with it, we decided that it would be best to record approval from the board before we move forward. Is that what?
Yes.
I think that was a recommendation too that was made when we started talking to the county about their process. So we felt that it'd be important to get your approval before we start working in this area. But mainly we're talking about
computers,
and,
yes,
and some
and
vehicles.
maybe some vehicles.
So when we talked about it, we did not start the process and then do anything with it.
We haven't done anything yet. We were learning more about it, but we decided we wanted to get official approval.
The process you're replacing is previously you gave it to the county and we had the sale. They ran the county. There was one county surplus property, several people had to physically come and bid on things. And so that has been done away with. There is no more county sale. As items go surplus, we make sure no one else needs them in the government system, and then we put them online for bidding. And so now the school will do the same.
We still will have a surplus sale. We're just going to put the computers and vehicles on.
For these items, I mean.
Right.
So at one time, we were doing something else with our computers.
Well, we recycle them, but sometimes we don't, we can do 200 computers and we only get a small amount of money. I do believe that we will get a larger return for the used computers this way.
This mentions vehicles also.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve, and I think Ms. Copenhaver's right. I think we might get more revenue this way, and that we'll give it a try. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
One thing that I would ask, since this is something new and the public is not familiar with it, that perhaps we coordinate with the county and get it in the newspaper and the media that we're doing this now, so that everybody's more aware of it.
Do the proceeds come to the school system or to the county?
These will come directly to the school system.
School system. In the past, they gone to the county.
No,
The county would sell the vehicles, but then they would give us the proceeds of the vehicles or buses were ours that they sold at their auction.
Okay, we have a motion and a second now. Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Thank you, Ms. Copeland. Item H,
Mr. Chairman, this is something that we do each year in accordance with bylaws of the Virginia School Boards Association. A school board in good standing, of course, will be entitled to one vote in all meetings of the association. A voting delegate and an alternate must be selected from the membership of each member school board, of course, by this board. So, in the past, the chairman of the board has been the delegate, and the vice chair has been the alternate. Certainly, we can continue with that process, but I wanted to bring it up to the board for approval and or discussion if you want to make a change at this point.
Move we continue like in the past. Chair, the primary, and vice chair, the alternate. Second.
we have a motion and a second that we continue the same process with the chairman and vice chairman serving as delegate and alternate. Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Section 7 of our agenda, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We don't usually have a July highlights report, but I'm excited about this particular report because it highlights all the great summer opportunities for learning that are going on this summer, and I wanted the opportunity to highlight some of those for you this morning. The first one, Sanville Elementary, hosts Ronald McDonald House. From September to May of the 2013-14 school year, Sanville Elementary School collaborated with Boys and Girls Club, businesses, and families in the area to collect 444.9 pounds of pop tabs for the Ronald McDonald House in Roanoke, Virginia, winning the Ronald McDonald Extravaganza Award for the most pop tabs collected. Comic-Con comes to Axton Elementary. Chelsea Rogers' class recently held a comic convention to display their published books to the public. Students used Pixton.com to write and illustrate their own comics before autographing comic cards and explaining their creative processes at the convention. Working within a budget. We all know what that's like. Carver students have been working to plan the details of a field experience to the Martin School Reservoir during their study of math and everyday life. Students have researched the background of the reservoir, planned a trip including calculating mileage and fuel and food costs, and discuss activities they will participate in while on the excursion, all while working within their student checking account budgets. Plants take care of animals. Campbell Court Elementary is partnering with the Virginia Museum of Natural History to participate in Bears in the Forest. Students are learning about habitats and the life needs and characteristics of bears in this active role-play program adapted from Project Wild. We all scream for ice cream. Collinsville primary students have been completing activities that allow them to purchase and make ice cream. They are using recipes to follow instructions, measure, communicate with one another to create and enjoy a final product. Cups and categories. Students at John Red Smith have been discussing categories of measurement and classification, math and reading. Measuring, making, and selling lemonade have been key features of 4th grade lessons, while 5th graders have used classification skills to compare the traits of literary characters to themselves. Fostering a love of reading. Mount Olivet students and Amy Mitchell's class participated in a field experience at the Martinsville Public Library, during which they spoke with children's librarian Janet Boucher about the importance of reading and how to obtain a library card. That's important. The tools we need. Rich Acres students had the opportunity to discuss tools for safety with Officer Harper of the Henry County Sheriff's Department and meet Rosie, the tracking dog. Rosie also demonstrated her skills in finding a lost person during the visit. Attention to detail. During a writing activity on detail and description, Drury Mason students donned blindfolds to test their senses. They were tasked with giving a descriptive word and guessing each food item they were allowed to touch and taste before removing their blindfolds. Students then used the four-square writing approach to construct descriptive sentences that they later used in writing on paper. Mystery solved. Stanleytown Elementary students in Daphne Stark and Carrie Morris's classes have been practicing inferencing skills while reading mystery stories. Through dramatic readings and both small and large group inquiries, the students have become top-notch literary detectives. EXPLORE, explore. 150 Henry County Public Schools 4th through 8th graders across the county are exploring appealing camp sessions that solve real-world challenges through participation in hands-on experiments this week at Explore Camp, held at FC Middle. Each of the career-focused offerings includes a field experience and a discussion with someone currently working in the field such as arts, robotics, cooking, agriculture, golf, physical activity, and STEM. Let's get physical. Henry County Middle School students are participating in a 6-week summer health nutrition education activities program at Laurel Park Middle School. Participants have the opportunity to work with coaches on sports skills and with adult mentors as they enjoy games, spending time in the library, and tutoring to strengthen their skills. European vacation. Magna Vista and Bassett High School students recently spent 2 weeks in Europe. Students experienced the culture and practiced language skills by asking directions, ordering in cafes and restaurants, and greeting others. French teachers Karen Knopf and Elizabeth Jones led the group of 44 to tour France, Spain, Monaco, and Italy. So I haven't been there, but looks like they had a great time. Now you can see from this report that we have a lot going on during the summer as well as during the school year. Congratulations, which we've already mentioned this morning, digital content and curriculum achievement. eRepublic Center for Digital Education presented the 2nd Annual Digital Content and Curriculum Achievement Awards, or DCCAA, for K-12 at the International Society of Technology and Education 2014 conference in Atlanta on June 30th. Henry County Public Schools was honored in the K-12 Small Medium District School up to 12,000 students category for our 21st Century Mobile Learning Initiative. We already talked about that this morning. So this completes my highlight report, Mr. Chairman, and I don't have any reports on the other items unless board members have questions, but all of those were included in your packet.
Okay, receipts and expenditures, anything specific to report there, Susan?
No, sir.
All bills are being paid, and we didn't run out of money. Good, that's good news. Okay, we move on then to, matters from the board. Are there individual items that board members might want to bring before this group? Hearing none, we move on to item 9, reminder of dates. Keep in mind, Dr. Cotton mentioned the meet and greet opportunities this afternoon and this evening for Mrs. Black at Laurel Park and Magna Vista. The others are all listed there. Conferences are listed. Be sure if you plan to participate in one of those conferences that you make Ms. O be aware of that. Any questions or concerns about these? Hope you all have on your calendar the board retreat July 29th at Chapel. Move to item 10, work session in the school board meeting room. Our meeting will continue there at this time. That is an open session, so we can adjourn to the board meeting room upstairs at this time. Okay, if everything's hooked up and we're online or whatever that is, I guess we can move to Item 10, work session, update on middle school athletics.
Mr. Chairman and board members, I've asked, you can come on up, Mr. Dillard. I asked Mr. Dillard to share with you some plans that we have for middle school athletics. I want to tell you that we've kind of gone full circle with middle school athletics. When we talked last year, I want to say it was last spring, we were concerned about middle schools and what we're going to do moving forward, and then we talked about intramurals as an option. And then as we spent time on that process, we learned that there wasn't, a significant amount of savings by moving to the intramural option. Then we weren't sure that that was meeting all of the needs that we had for our middle school students. So then we came back and we looked at one of the other issues that we've had since we've left the previous conference for middle schools. We created our own. The students were playing a lot of the same schools over and over again and didn't have as many opportunities. So we looked at how could we still provide the competition, increase those opportunities to play other schools, keeping in mind our goals for our middle school students. So we're becoming a part of a Piedmont, Junior Piedmont district, which I'll let Mr. Dillard tell you a little bit more about. But there are some changes that have to take place that come along with that. So I wanted Mr. Dillard to share all that with you and brief you on all those changes now before we move forward with plans for next year. And certainly we would like some direction from the board. At this point in time, I get a sense you'll be happy with what we have planned, but I don't want to make that assumption until you've heard what we're doing. So, Mr. Dillard, if you go ahead and do your presentation, that would be great.
So, thank you. Good morning, and appreciate y'all letting us present this morning. And Mr. Mentor has been working along with me, and Mr. Prophet, Mr. Campbell. We spent some time talking with Dr. Cotton. We also involved Tim Folger and Mr. Bullins, in our meetings to make sure we covered all areas, looked at all concerns as we put this middle school activities and athletics together. And our ultimate goal was to create a middle school activities, and I do want to emphasize activities/athletics program that will encourage students to explore a variety of extracurricular activities and develop meaningful skills through participation in those activities and athletics at the middle school level. And we're going to focus on the activities piece first. We know that both middle schools do offer some activities currently, but we wanted to create a more focused, more concentrated program of activities so that it wasn't just haphazard or by chance that this activity was taking place, but we wanted to create a focused program so that all students could have a chance to be involved in extracurricular activities. So we're going to offer 3 new activities during the course of the year. One will be offered in the fall, one in the winter, and one in the spring. And each activity will last 6 weeks. We didn't want it to be something that, paralleled athletics where kids will stand after school every single day. But we felt that 2 days per week would be sufficient for those students to get experience and exposure to the various activities. And it's going to go throughout the year. So if they enjoyed the first activity, they can definitely, move on and be a part of the second activity. And it's open to all middle school students, grades 6 through 8. And we will have a sponsor who will be paid a stipend, a small stipend. And we looked at the middle school coaches' supplements to, make sure we were consistent there. But their main job is going to be to supervise, to coordinate, and they'll also schedule, the days and times and make announcements in case there's a change in scheduling or if there's a snow day, they have to make up some days. So that will be the main job of the sponsor. And that's pretty much it for activities. Athletics is where you're going to see some change, but we feel good about this, and we talked, as Dr. Cotton mentioned. I think we covered athletics in every possible way that you can cover athletics, but we wanted to put a program together that was going to benefit our middle school students. And we feel that the program that we have put together will benefit them. If you're going to compete, you definitely want to, compete and, make sure that the students are getting something out of it. First of all, we had to adjust the seasons, we have to align the season. So volleyball on the middle school level will now be played in the fall, and that's consistent with the high school volleyball. And softball and boys soccer will be played in the spring. So in essence, those sports switched, but that's consistent with the high school sporting seasons. And, you know, one thing that we discussed, and, you know, we made sure that we were given some leeway here as a county, because we're the only county that is in this middle school conference who has never charged, you know, an entry fee into athletic events. So we didn't want to go from zero to everybody having to pay. So what we did, you know, we asked for some leeway here. So we will have a fee to get into the athletic events, but it's going to be a small fee, you know, when we're thinking $4, but that's only for adults and children above 15. So in essence, all middle school students who, you know, comprise most of the fans at middle school games will still get in free. Elementary students will get in free. But parents and, you know, high school students and older will, you know, have to pay a small fee. And the members of that junior Piedmont district, and this is what, you know, we're really excited about, because I know last year Laurel Park and FC would play each other, you know, 3 or 4 times in some sports. But, you know, now you're going to have Philadelphia Collinsville Middle School, Laurel Park Middle School, Halifax County, Ben Franklin, who's representing Franklin County, Patrick County, the 2 Danville Middle Schools, Bonner and Westwood, and also Martinsville Middle School. And they will comprise the junior Piedmont district. And we wanted to make sure that we were consistent with the Envision 18. So as we went through, we, you know, made sure that we were including some of the standards of Envision 2018. And, you know, you can see the high quality instruction. You know, one of the clubs that we talked about would be the outdoors club. So I can imagine kids participating in an outdoors club, but also getting a science lesson as they, you know, go out to some of the waterways or some of the other activities that they would do in an outdoors club. Also, the innovative and cutting edge technology. You know, robotics is one of the activities that we discussed, and, you know, definitely it would include the technology. And then family and community engagement. You know, definitely, you know, we're expecting family members, community members to come out, get involved, not just to be fans, but with the activities we're looking for. And if you all have expertise in any particular areas, we, you know, encourage you to, you know, get involved and come out, whether it's robotics, mock trial, outdoors club, or whatever it is that you may have an expertise in. Share that with us, because we're looking for, we're kind of putting the activities in place based on the expertise that we have. So if you have something that you're interested in sponsoring, you know, let me know, one of the athletic directors know, and we can definitely consider that as a club. Are there any questions about the activities, athletics update at this point?
Mr. Joe, did you want to talk about Parks and Rec?
Yes, sir.
Conversations with them as well.
Yes, sir. We have also met with Parks and Rec, and Roger Adams has been very helpful in offering his services, and he's going to help us to find the sponsors of different activities. He's going to, you know, encourage his volunteers to get involved. He's offered his equipment. He's offered, you know, programs that they do that they can bring into the middle schools, such as an outdoors club where they would allow us to use their facilities. So we're really excited about that, and it's a growing opportunity. You know, next year is the beginning, but we're looking, you know, to see this grow, and, you know, maybe the following year add more activities for students. But we want to start with 3 because we could manage that. And as we, you know, get more comfortable as the athletic directors, administrators at each middle school get more comfortable with supervision and organizing the programs, we'll definitely add more programs.
Well, I'm very pleased that we're coordinating with Parks and Recreation. All my many years on the Board of Supervisors, even Mr. Dalton and other supervisors, the money we spent on Parks and Recreation was probably the best bang for the buck that many might expect, because it gives these kids something to do. I'm pleased about the extra activities in middle school. It keeps them out of trouble. Sheriff's Department has less work to do in the future, and it's just benefits everyone. So I'm very pleased about the extra activities, and we are collaborating with Mr. Adams and Mr. Cotton. That's one of his favorite words, Dr. Cotton, is collaborating with everybody. And that's a good thing. Appreciate that.
My observation this past summer is that soccer is becoming the #1 world sport. Where are we as far as soccer? Are we promoting soccer? What's our thoughts, our future for soccer in our school?
You know, we are promoting soccer, you know, just as we're promoting all other, you know, sports. You know, students are getting involved, and I think we're ahead of some of the other schools. I know Halifax County, you know, their soccer program was a co-ed soccer program. So, you know, we're fortunate to have both boys and girls soccer and didn't have to have co-ed, but, you know, we're definitely promoting that. And I guess I'll also mention that lacrosse is something that, you know, I've met with Smith River Complex, and they're going to have a lacrosse camp starting August 4th, and I think August 7th. So we're also trying to promote lacrosse so that, you know, maybe students who don't play soccer or football or basketball have, you know, other options. And that's something that's new, and Henry County schools, you know, played an integral role in meeting with Smith River and creating some excitement about the lacrosse program.
So in looking at the names of the different middle schools around the community in Danville, were they involved in this kind of thing already, or did you collaborate with all of those schools to get this? I mean, I know you would have had to somewhat, but
yes, ma'am.
Were they already involved in something like this?
Well, everybody was at different stages. You know, we had our program, but we were playing very few opponents. Halifax County was in what's called the Southside Conference, and they played teams in, and as far as Southampton. So they're coming out of their current conference to join this conference. Patrick County had no middle school athletics program, and they met with their board. They're actually creating a middle school program just to be a part of this group. Franklin County is leaving the Roanoke Conference to join this conference. So everybody was all over the place, but, you know, we met, and we actually have a meeting January 15th where we're going to go through the handbook to make sure that everybody's comfortable with it before it, you know, actually goes out to the public. But yes, we met with each of those school systems and 3 or 4 times.
The meeting's July.
July 15th, yes.
Next week. I was gonna say that might.
Okay.
That might be a little late.
Could you comment on the fiscal impact, and then also, do we anticipate fees for participants in athletics and any of the activities that we're adding?
No, we're not going to charge athletes to participate. We looked at the fiscal impact, and, you know, it's very similar to when the middle schools were in the North Carolina Conference. And, you know, some of it is we'll have to go through the year to see some of that impact. But and that's why we brought Tim Fulcher and Mr. Bullins into the meeting, because we wanted to make sure, because travel is going to be the biggest, you know, impact. And we wanted to make sure that we were not putting something together that we couldn't manage. And I don't have any numbers in front of me, but, you know, we've definitely looked at that. We've considered all possible concerns. One thing that we discussed was trying to find cost-saving ways to make sure that even though, you know, the money's available, that we don't just, you know, splurge. For example, you know, we talked about having some Saturday jamborees. So having, you know, all of the middle schools maybe play on a Saturday, and that would reduce the number of buses having to travel. You know, so we've discussed the different concerns, and we have, you know, put some things in place to eliminate. And that's part of that $4 as well. You know, that will help the middle schools, you know, bring in some extra funds so they can help, you know, cover the cost of officials, security, and maybe even, you know, assist with some travel costs.
And we've done a cost analysis too. There was a certain cost that we paid when we were in the North Carolina
yes, sir.
Conference there, and then of course when we did our own, there were savings that occurred, but then the cost of fuel has gone up. So we're constantly, you know, we've been looking at operating out of our existing funds that we have, and just what Mr. Dillard said, we're looking at, my concern right away was Halifax. That's the furthest. And we talked about some Saturday, because I'm concerned I don't want students pulled out of school to go to Halifax, and I don't want middle schoolers coming home at 11 o'clock at night. But we also talked about having our matches at locations that are halfway, you know,
some neutral site locations.
We're looking at creative ways to do that, and we're going to be monitoring that closely. Our hope would be that it's cost neutral, that we can handle it through our existing budget. And if that proves to not be the case, then we're going to have to make some changes. But you know, we're excited about this opportunity for our students.
And one of the things that, we talked about in our athletic director meetings is each athletic director, will spend time communicating with coaches. When you travel, every hour that you're on the road, it costs. So we want to educate coaches on, when you travel, if you're going to eat, let's get the kids in, get the kids out, and over the course of a school year, 4 schools traveling, if each trip is cut, just a few minutes, you begin saving money. So, those are some of the things that we're going to do to not just make it so that it's about us trying to save money, but educating coaches on things that they can do, to save money.
What sports are we going to offer, and was this something that, I assume some middle schools are offering things that others weren't, and clearly I don't think we have a middle school wrestling program, but maybe Franklin County does, and so how is that decision arrived at, and what sports are we going to participate in?
We're not increasing any sports. We're offering the same sports that we've always offered in middle school. Those schools that, such as wrestling, I think Franklin County, Martinsville, Halifax, they're going to get together, create a schedule, and they will compete. One thing we talked about was debate. Well, not debate.
We talked about adding academic teams for the middle school programs. We felt like that would be a good activity to start with. But we're going to start with the 3 activities that we have lined up right now and survey the students to gather what their interests are and really focus on what they would like to explore. And if academic team is one of them, then we talked about having a junior Piedmont academic team competition as well. We felt like that would be a benefit and a way to showcase what Henry County is doing especially, because our academic teams are phenomenal.
So we're not adding any sports, we're just keeping the same.
What do we currently, what do we currently offer at the middle school level?
In the fall, we have football and now volleyball. In the winter, we have boys and girls basketball. In the spring, we have boys and girls soccer, softball, baseball, boys and girls track. And that's at the middle school level.
Essentially, it's cross country and wrestling, and I guess like swimming.
We don't have those.
The only middle school programs that we're not offering that the others are golf and wrestling. That's currently what we're not offering as far as athletics are concerned.
Tennis was one too, right?
Only one program has tennis, and that's Franklin County, because every Roanoke school has tennis at the middle school.
Well, when I was going through the presentation on board docs, it seemed like we had really come from where we had been before to a good program, and I appreciate the work that y'all put into this. And it seemed like I was surprised at the different schools that were participating, and I think that's a great opportunity, and it looks like y'all really done your homework and got together and made a good middle school program, and we appreciate that.
And we're excited, and like I say, Halifax and Franklin County are leading 2 established conferences to join us, so it's imperative that we all work together to make it work, because they've left a conference, and we don't want to see them like we were when we left the North Carolina conference, where they don't get don't have any opponents. So we definitely want to make this work. We're excited about it. I think our middle school students will be excited about it, the community, because it does create that sense of competition versus playing the same school 2 or 3 times. You play multiple schools.
Well, I'm a super believer in if you don't have a good middle school program, you're not going to have a great varsity program. So.
And that's one of the focuses we had. We had the middle school and the high school groups work together and collaborate to make sure that we're building something positive for all of the Piedmont junior and the high school level.
And as far as that goes, the academic as well.
Yes, ma'am. That's where we want to include those activities.
And we're protecting instructional time because they're close by. If you remember, we were concerned about students leaving school an hour or 2 hours early to get to some of those events. But the other thing that I like about this is we're meeting the needs that our students have expressed to us. I have a student advisory group that I meet with, and they were concerned about playing the same school over and over again. And there are folks who say, well, they're playing, just keep playing the same school, but it really took away a lot of motivation for the students. But not just that, we're now adding the activities, because we know we have students in middle school who are not participating in anything. They're not involved in athletics. They're not, doing any after-school kinds of things. So we're really trying to serve all students in middle school. That's what I'm excited about, and this is kind of our first stage here, and we'll monitor costs and student interest throughout the year, and then we'll look at expanding. We may want to add additional teams. There's cost involved in that, but I think this is a good step for us to get started.
Do we have a policy in place for the sports that aren't offered at the middle school level in terms of 8th graders being able to participate at the high school level?
Yes, the 8th graders can try out for the JV teams. We put that in place. A couple of years ago, we only allowed them to do if there was a need, but then after, and that's what I appreciate so much about the athletic directors and Mr. Dillard, because they meet on a regular basis, and we talk about issues and concerns, and what they were saying was they were needing these 8th graders to try out, so now we allow them all to try out.
So that will still be the case even for sports that are offered at the middle school level?
Yes.
So an 8th grader could make the JV high school team and not play on their middle school team?
Yes, that's still a possibility, and this even works a little better with the alignment, because the coaches are going to be working together, and at the same time, we had issues which the students probably didn't mind, where they would play for the high school in the fall, and they'd play for middle school in the spring, which they didn't mind too much. They were playing year round. But the only other issues we've looked at are field space, and I think we've worked through those.
For the most part, I think there's only one situation where there's field space, and that's FC softball.
But we think we have that worked out as well.
Mr. Chairman, I'm very pleased with the alignment is finally the same for the middle schools and high schools. That's a big plus. And the new district is going to be more competitive. And when you look at that varsity sports, like Mrs. Flanagan said, if you play good competition in middle schools, it's going to make you a better player in high school.
Well, I was thinking that with the way that we were doing it, playing the same schools, I'm not sure that was a healthy rivalry type. I mean, it could make for, a bad rivalry if
Especially if there's
somebody came up and had a really, really good team and just kept beating you over and over and over. Nobody wants to get beat every time.
We'll start seeing new rivalries spring up.
Yeah.
So,
Very awkward.
and carry, right.
One thing I haven't heard mentioned is there, and I'm have to start out by saying I'm kind of opposed to officially designating a champion in sport in this league. I mean, are we going to get in a situation where one school is going to take a picture of their team, put it in the paper, and say we were the junior champions or something? Was any of that discussion ever entered?
Yes, sir. We discussed that. We discussed, having a tournament. We discussed, the top 2 teams, top 4 teams, because that's what Franklin County, that's what Halifax currently does, and naturally they would like to, bring that into the new conference. So yes, there has been some discussion about that.
So where does that stand?
We are meeting, as I said, on July 15th, and all of that's going to be finalized on July 15th. And, and it looks like we will, go in some direction of having some semblance of a tournament, maybe not every sport, but, definitely, basketball, baseball, but football, naturally, it's about, who wins the most regular season games, just as it is on the high school level.
I think as long as that's organized and conducted by the district, and schools don't go their individual ways saying we were,
Yes, sir. No, it would definitely be.
It would be an organized.
It would be something formal, something official, and something that would be organized by the district, and the chairman would oversee each tournament.
It'll be in their bylaws, and they'll have to follow the regulations in the bylaws.
Reductive law saying keep it low profile as much as possible.
Well, I mean,
right.
I think the danger sometimes is that one school goes out on their own. The boosters of that school, or the parents of that school, put pictures in the paper, and it has nothing to do with the league management. I just want to do that, and I said I'm not really opposed to it. I just want to make sure if it's done with the understanding that this is the way we do it, and that because you're way down in Halifax County, you don't do something on your own.
And that's why, we've created the handbook and everything everything will be governed, by the handbook, and a lot of the handbook, is going to parallel the Virginia High School League. Naturally, middle schools are not a part of the Virginia High School League, but, that was a good, base for us to look at and, put that handbook together.
When we started creating the handbook, we looked at the current Piedmont District handbook, which follows the high school league, and we said it needed to have a resemblance to that. Not everything needs to be exact, but it needed to look that way.
Mr. Chairman, if it'd be appropriate, I'd offer a motion that the board endorse the new Piedmont, Junior Piedmont District and our new activities program.
It's appropriate if we say that we
Endorse
our membership in that.
But we definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll put your podium back.
Second. Okay, those supportive of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Mr. Dillard, thank you, and thank all of the people that assisted you in your work. This is something that we've struggled with for several years. We've been here, there, and nowhere. It's good to know that now we're somewhere.
I'm really pleased with how they went about this process and pulled together the other athletic directors. And you're right, Mr. Zaire, it's a true collaboration.
Thank you.
And this is proof that good things happen when you come together and collaborate, and getting that crew to agree on certain things has been a challenge, but we really took the lead on that.
Yeah.
And so I think that says a lot about our staff and our school officials. So thank you all for that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. I guess at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session in accordance with Section A, 2.2-37111, appointments and separations of personnel. Section 3A, 2, student matters, Section 4.7, Code of Virginia.
So moved.
Sir.
This motion okay, at this time I'll entertain a motion to return to the regular session.
So moved. Second.
Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. So will you certify the closed session, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas the School Board of Henry County has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712.d of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the School Board of Henry County hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Mr. Offer?
Yes.
Dr. DeVault?
Yes.
Ms. Flanagan? Ms. Maddox?
Yes.
Mr. Milner?
Yes.
Dr. Stambaugh?
Yes.
And Mr. Zaire?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so we have several motions coming out of closed session. I'll start with the motion from Mr. Offer.
I move in student case number 45R that the student have his long-term suspension lifted with permission to attend Fieldale Collinsville Middle School.
Second.
Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Mr. Sayer?
Mr. Chairman, I move in student case number 46R that the student have his long-term suspension lifted with permission to attend Fieldale Collinsville Middle School.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Dr. Stambaugh?
In student case number IRE-15, I move that the student be released from compulsory attendance under section 22.1-254B.1 of the Code of Virginia on the affidavit or declaration submitted to the Henry County School Board.
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand.
I likewise move that in student case number number 2RE-15, that the student be released from compulsory attendance under section 22.1-254B.1 of the Code of Virginia on the affidavit or declaration submitted to the Henry County School Board.
Second.
Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. Ms. Maddox.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the recommendation from the Special Placement Committee regarding non-resident and special placement requests be approved according to School Board Policy J6.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Those in support of this motion signify by raising your right hand. Mr. Zayner.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the recommendations from the Special Placement Committee regarding non-resident and special placement addendums be approved as presented contingent on the enrollment and capacity as determined by the superintendent.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. One final motion regarding personnel. Mr. Miller.
Offer motion that the personnel report plus addendum be approved as presented.
Second.
So a motion and a second regarding personnel report and addendum. Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Final motion of the day. Is there a motion to?
Before we do that, I have some handouts that I received in a thing up in Richmond. I just like to pass out to the school board members for information.
Okay. If you want business to come forward this board today, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Meeting is